So when I say that like D&D should embrace more like spy narratives and things like that, you're already spies. You may not know it yet. I mean, your group is a highly dangerous, heavily armed group of arguably mercenaries, willing to do violence in return for money and or shiny trinkets, with vague, if any, loyalties to, nations, organizations, or entities. Do you know what they call that in the real world? They call that a non-state actor paramilitary group. They call that a private military company. You know the kinds of people who hire PMCs? All of the other three-letter acronyms. Do you know who Kissinger turned to when he wanted to overthrow a democratically elected government? You guys! Chances are, if your party was in the real world, the CIA would have a file on you saying either potential or active asset. Now, particularly in like the actual Wizards of the Coast like D&D narrative, the more that like certain gods are believed in and worshipped, the more powerful they become. As they are gradually forgotten, they become husks of their former selves. So these gods are going to be constantly trying to expand their spheres of influence. Like nation states. Now, in the actual, Wizards of the Coast canon, the reason that gods don't come down and deal with things personally is because the big god, Ao or whatever, just said, no, you're not allowed to do that, which is boring. We can do better than that. But within the canon, their gods also, handily, already have established relationships, right? So, whenever Saloon wants to, get something done, she's going to have to worry about whether or not Shah's going to try and get in the way. So they're not necessarily just going to send a bunch of their clerics to go and do whatever the thing is. However, a couple of visions to the right people, a couple of dead drops in the right spot. All of a sudden, there's a shifty-looking gentleman with some gold looking for some adventurers to do a job. This is generally a great storyline in Oblivion, right? Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Spoilers, you've had a while, though. So in the Assassin's Guild quest, you start working for Lucien Lachance, and he starts only communicating to you through dead drops. So you never actually meet him for, a big chunk of the quests. Instead, you're, interacting with, a stump behind the pond or something like that, and you're getting your payment and your next target. And the story is that these dead drops end up getting intercepted. Someone spots LeChance, leaving some stuff behind, they go over and they go, actually, your target is Jimmy! And so you start rather not noticing that all of your targets are suddenly really well-trained fighters. Turns out you've been taking out the rest of the Assassin's Guild. And not at Lucien's orders. I forget whose orders it was, actually. I really love the idea of, a warlock patron, you're the Mazora to the Zariel from BG3. Mazora being middle evil management. By the way, evil management has way better outfits than good management. I love the idea that, your warlock is approached by, some guy really frantically. They tell them that they're a warlock of the same person. Or, a similar sort of, evil organization or whatever. They're like, no, Mazora, she's been dead for 6 months. Whatever orders you've been getting have not been from her. You need to tell me exactly what you have done for this entire time. Now, the trouble I'm seeing is how to actually deliver this, because, warlocks and their patrons and, the players are going to find this, very personal. If I suddenly say, actually, you work for this guy now, you're going to be like, oh, fuck you. Which is absolutely fair. It's up to me to make it, narratively worthwhile for everyone. But I do think it's perfectly reasonable that I should be able to, spring on you that you've been working for Kissinger this whole time. In the fantasy setting. He came back. You thought you were working for some hideous eldritch god? Well... But, I do really like the idea that your adventurers suddenly find out, however long into a campaign, that everything that they've been doing until this point has been to someone's benefit, and they didn't know who until now. All of a sudden, you're at some fancy dinner, and the prince of some nation is introduced, and you look over and it's like, wait, that's the contact that we had for... Oh, wait, hang on. That's the guy who's had all that work for us. It does have to be the right group of players, though. It has... some group of players would be like, oh, hell yeah, this is amazing, everything was interconnected. And some of them will be like, oh, this wasn't really our choice. You've been manipulating it all from behind the scenes. It's yeah.